35 years BC, before curse. 3rd person POV. The storm was raging, rain coming down in buckets, lightning striking everywhere, starting fires. The wind was constantly getting stronger, blowing away the wooden fence outside of an old farmhouse. This house belonged to Anastasia and her baby daughter Yn. Yn was no more than 9 months old, crying in her cot, wishing the storm would let her go back to sleep. Anastasia suddenly came running into her baby's room, tears almost falling. "Come on, sunshine," the mother tried to calm her child whilst picking her up. But Yn continued to cry. "We have to get to the cellar, okay, your daddy will meet us there," the mother assured. With her baby in arms, she ran down the short flight of stairs, but lightning struck ahead of her, missing Anastasia and her baby by inches. The lightning caused the girls to scream, and a hole to form in the roof. Nonetheless, Anastasia continued to run out the back door. Of course, she held her daughter's head into her shoulder, shielding her eyes from the terror. Anastasia ran out the back door, her dress blowing to the left due to the wind. She ran across the long, muddy grass and to the storm cellar, but the cellar flew open after 2 strong yanks of the door. Anastasia swiftly jumped in after her bonnet flew off. And just before she closed the cellar door, she could see her house burning down. Lightning must have hit again. But Anastasia couldn't worry about this now, she had a baby to take care of. So she struggled to close the door to the storm cellar. Her baby continued to cry. Anastasia tried calming and shushing the baby, but it was no use. The baby was scared, and Anastasia would be lying if she wasn't too. Yn's POV. No, 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 no. I overslept again. I am so dead. I ran down the stairs of my shared apartment. The other inhabitant was Mary Margaret Blanchard. She must have left to work earlier than me. My roommate, Mary Margaret, also happened to be my boss. I'm her assistant at the school. I do the little jobs like hand out papers, erase the chalkboard, answer some questions, etc. Occasionally I would help with lessons, and now, I was late for work. I stumbled as I tried to put my left sneaker on. Note to self, do not put shoes on standing up, it's surprisingly difficult. Quickly grabbing an apple from the fruit bowl, I ran out the door, biting into the red fruit I called my breakfast. The cold apple knocked away some of the tiredness I still had left in me. How did sleeping make you more tired? Something I will never understand. I squeezed past some of the kids in the hall, struggling to keep my backpack on as it only lay on one shoulder. I ran down the freshly cleaned halls. It wasn't a great example to set for the kids, but I'm sure they won't mind. I stopped in front of Mary Margaret's door, who, for the workday, I called Ms. Blanchard, and caught my breath, making myself more presentable. This included fixing my already messy ponytail and retying the flannel that lay around my waist. I took one more huff and walked through the door. Making these connections. "Hello, Ms. Yn," Ms. Blanchard greeted me. "Hello, Ms. Yn." The kids recited. "Good morning, what's the topic today?" I asked, walking through the class and placing my bag on my desk. "World connections," Ms. Blanchard answered. "Something we are constantly doing," I smiled. Now, as I was saying, making these connections can be hard, but when they are made, satisfying to look over. Ms. Blanchard continued. I started unpacking my bag. I had a notebook, lunch, water and a pencil case. It wasn't much, but it was all I needed. Who can think of a film or story where you've connected real-life things? The pixie-cutted women asked. A boy, brown hair and eyes, and his skin just a bit darker than an albino raised his hand. Henry Mills. Henry and I were friends outside of school. He was an interesting boy. Henry? Ms. Blanchard picked. Henry stood up, facing the class. Well, I have a book of stories. They're not really stories, but everyone in this town is a character from the book and we're all cursed, Henry said as if it was the most simple thing in the world. As if it were true and we were all, in fact, cursed and fairy tale characters. I wonder who he thinks I am. Snow White? Maybe even the evil queen. I chuckled to myself at my foolish thoughts. Miss Blanchard clapped her hands as if dismissing herself from the topic. That's great, Henry. Anyone else? As Henry sat down, many more kids raised their hands, probably eager to say their creative thoughts. The kids all shared their connections, some of them were clearly just their imaginations, others were logical and well thought out. This didn't cease to amaze me. The children in Miss Blanchard's classes were always creative, smart and kind. Like their teacher. I had my hands in the pockets of my black zip-up sweater as I walked into Granny's. They had the best fish and chips, but I wasn't here for that. I was here to meet Henry. I saw him sitting at a corner booth. I smiled as I walked over to him. Henry had already previously ordered 2 hot chocolates with cinnamon. Something was up. He never ordered for me, and I mean never. Unless, of course, he needed something from me. That was his one exception. "Hello, Henry," I greeted as I slid into the booth, taking off my black backpack. "Hey, YN," he smiled widely, too widely. I squinted my eyes at him as I looked down at my hot chocolate. "What do you want?" I asked skeptically. Henry's smile faded as if he gave up. "A favor." "Explain, just so you know, it's probably yes." The hot chocolate was a good bribe. I spoke as if we were in a spy movie. "I need Miss Blanchard's credit card." I choked on my hot chocolate. "What?" I asked, wiping the hot drink from my face. "Why do you need her credit card?" "I can't tell you. If I do, you're going to say no." He whined. "Well, then I can't get her card for you." I was being stubborn. "Please, YN, I won't ask for anything ever again," he begged. "That's a lie, and I can't just steal someone's credit card, Henry." I said the last part in a low whisper. "I promise it's really important," he told. I stared at him. He wouldn't lie about something like this, or normally steal. Henry was a good kid, so there must be a good reasoning behind this. "Ugh, fine. But if I go to jail, you're getting your mom to bail me out. Deal. Meet me at the castle when you're done." Just then, Henry's adoptive mother, and the mayor, Regina, walked in. "Henry, why didn't you come home?" she worriedly asks as she walks to our booth. Before Henry could answer, I did. "That was my fault, Madam Mayor, I was just getting him some food," I smiled. "I suppose I can let this slide." Regina straightened herself out, pushing her bangs away from her face. "Thank you." Regina grabbed her son's hand and he stood up. Before they could leave the diner, she spoke. "Next time, would you mind telling me if you're taking my son?" she asked. I could tell it wasn't meant to come across as snarky, but it did. "Not at all," I kept a poker face and my voice monotone. The mayor sent me one last smile before leaving with Henry. "Hey, Mary Margaret," I slid into the classroom. She was packing up some things. "YN, what a lovely surprise," she beamed. "Yeah, I just forgot something, so I had to, come and get it." I lied. "Oh, okay, I was just leaving." No. No, I mean, no. You can't leave." I purposely, accidentally to her, knocked over a pencil holder on the kid's desk. Clumsy me. I crouched down and slowly started picking up the pencils. "Here, let me help." Mary Margaret sat her bag down on the desk before crouching down to help. I stood up quickly and reached into her purse. I grabbed the first thing I felt, a wallet. I turned around on the floor, pretending to pick up the pencils that had fallen behind me. I opened up the zipper as quietly as possible and took out the card swiftly. I closed the wallet and slipped it back into her purse. "There we go," Ms. Blanchard said. She stood up, placing the pencil holder back on the small desk. "Thanks, I don't know what happened," I awkwardly said. I was holding the card behind my back. "Are you okay?" she asked. "Me?" I pointed at myself. I've never been better." I smiled. "Right, well, I'm gonna go, see you at home." I ran out of the classroom as fast as possible. That was so embarrassing. I walked across the sand to get to our castle. My ankles fell to the sides as I walked in the sand, my body rocked slightly as I stepped. I could already see Henry sitting there, reading a large book. I felt bad that I had pretty much stolen all of Mary Margaret's money, but I had to. At least that's what I kept telling myself. I sat next to Henry as I came to the castle. I looked down at the book he was reading. There, I could see a picture of a baby wrapped in a white, knitted blanket. The name Emma embroidered on it. "What are you reading, kid?" I questioned, leaning over Henry's shoulder slightly. "Snow White," he answered simply. "Wanna tell me about it?" I awkwardly asked, rubbing my hands up and down my jean-covered thighs. "Other than the fact that it's real." "No." He spoke straightly, not angry, but with a similar emotion. "That was cold." "What do you mean?" I questioned. Henry huffed and rolled his eyes as he closed the cover of the book. It read, "Once upon a time so it was a book of fairy tales." Gotcha. Everyone in this town is cursed, and they're all in this book. Even you. The evil queen put us all here, damn. He was passionate about this. "Okay then, I'll bite. Who are you?" "Jack and the Beanstalk." I chuckled. "No, I'm the son of the savior." Savior? They were never any saviors in the fairy tales I read, the daughter of Snow White and Prince Charming. He said as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. "Just look." Henry he shoved the book into my hands, and memories kept coming back. "You're an everlasting, Wyan Jones. We should dance more often." "That we should," Pan spoke. "This necklace symbolizes something you have all too much of." "Strength," Dad told me. "I love you, Pan." I gasped, taking an air that I didn't know I had been ignoring. "What? What's wrong?" Henry asked. I remember." "How? How does that make sense? Why are some things blank?" "I can't remember the memories fully." I furrowed my eyebrows, rushing out questions. I don't know. All the book says is that you were in love with Peter Pan, and then." "And then what, Henry? What are you not saying?" "There was nothing else, look. I'll show you." Henry took the book back into his own lap and flipped to the last page. There was an illustration of Peter Pan and I dancing in the sky, his hand wrapped around my waist and mine around his neck. We were smiling, staring at each other lovingly. I looked happy. I'm going to get my mom tonight, that's why I needed Miss Blanchard's credit card. To find her. And to break the curse.